Congratulations. Your net worth just crossed $1 trillion. You didn't build a company for 30 years to get here. You inherited a controlling stake in something nobody outside a boardroom had ever heard of, and the valuation exploded overnight. One press release, one number. And now you are, by every measurable standard, the wealthiest human being alive. You expected to feel something. Triumph. Relief. Instead, you feel your phone buzzing in your pocket. And you haven't even told anyone yet. That's the first thing nobody explains to you. The news moves faster than you do. By the time you walk out of your lawyer's office, there are already 3 vans parked outside with satellite dishes on the roof. You don't recognize any of the faces pointing cameras at you, but every single one of them knows your name. The first purchase isn't a purchase. Your first call isn't to a car dealership or a real estate agent. It's to a security consultant, because within 6 hours of the announcement, someone has already posted your home address online, and someone else has replied to that post with a countdown emoji. The consultant doesn't ask if you want protection. He asks how many exits your building has and whether you've ever been trained to notice if you're being followed. You hire a team, not bodyguards, a security apparatus. Former federal agents, a threat analysis unit that monitors mentions of your name across the internet in real time, an armored transport fleet you didn't know existed until yesterday. The bill for the first month alone would have covered your entire old salary for a decade. You sign it without blinking. What else are you going to do? The house that isn't a home yet. Your old apartment is compromised within 48 hours. Not broken into, just surrounded. People sleeping in cars outside. A drone hovering over your balcony that your new security team eventually shoots a jammer at. So you buy land. Not a house. Land, and then a house built on top of it. Because anything pre-existing has already been photographed from 100 angles and mapped by strangers online. You want walls nobody has climbed before, in a location nobody has leaked yet. It takes 4 months to build. In the meantime, you live in a hotel penthouse that costs more per night than your old rent for a year, guarded by 6 people you now see more often than any of your actual friends. When the house is finished, it has 41 rooms. You've been inside maybe 9 of them. Money that makes money while you sleep. Somewhere around month 3, your accountant sends you a report that stops you cold. Your wealth grew more last quarter, just from interest, dividends, and market movement without you doing anything, than most people will earn across 3 full lifetimes combined. You didn't work for that money. You didn't decide to make it. It simply happened, the way weather happens, while you were asleep or in a meeting or arguing with a contractor about tile. This should feel incredible. Instead, it feels strange in a way you can't quite name. Like standing on a treadmill that's speeding up on its own and realizing you have no way to step off. The ordinary things become impossible. You used to go for a run. Just a normal, boring morning run through your neighborhood, headphones in, nobody looking twice. Now a run requires a route cleared 24 hours in advance, 2 vehicles trailing at a discrete distance, and a plan for what happens if someone recognizes you and starts filming. By the time all of that is arranged, it doesn't feel like exercise anymore. It feels like a security operation with cardio attached. So you stop running outside. You have a gym built into the house instead. Better equipment than any public facility, completely private, entirely yours. You use it 4 times in 6 months. It's not the same. It was never really about the running. The people who want something versus the people who want you. Your phone used to ring with people who just wanted to talk. Now it rings with foundations, universities, old acquaintances you haven't spoken to in a decade who suddenly remember exactly how close you two used to be. You try to stay generous. You fund a hospital wing. You cover a friend's medical debt without being asked. You quietly pay off a stranger's mortgage after reading about her situation in a local paper. No press release, no announcement, just because you can, and it seemed like the decent thing to do. None of it fixes the underlying problem, which is this. You can no longer tell, in any conversation, whether the warmth directed at you is about who you are or about what you now represent. It's not that people have become worse. It's that you've become a variable in every equation they're running, whether they mean to or not. Your oldest friend visits for a weekend. He used to tell you when your ideas were bad. Now he nods along to everything, laughs a beat too early, and you find yourself missing the arguments more than you ever thought you would. The legal machine starts turning. By month 7, you have 22 active legal claims against you. Most are absurd on their face. A man claims you promised him equity in a conversation that never happened. A distant cousin you've never met sues over a family business you didn't know existed until the filing arrived. Your legal team explains gently that this is simply the tax of visibility. Anyone with a story and a lawyer willing to work on contingency now has a reason to include your name in it, because even a small settlement from you is a life-changing sum for almost anyone else on Earth. You fight the ones you can. You settle the ones that cost more to fight than to close. Either way, your name ends up in a headline, and either way, someone reads that headline and files a new claim inspired by the last one. By the end of the year, an entire department exists inside your organization whose sole purpose is managing lawsuits against you personally. You've never met most of them. You get a summary every Friday. You've stopped reading it in full. Someone sells your past. It happens the way these things always seem to happen. Quietly, then all at once. A former classmate sells old messages, screenshots from a group chat a decade old, jokes and complaints and half-formed opinions from a version of you that no longer exists but is suddenly the only version anyone online wants to talk about. The context is gone within an hour of it being published. What's left is a headline that makes you sound like someone you don't recognize. Your team's advice is always the same. Don't respond, don't engage, let it pass. It usually does pass, eventually replaced by the next thing. But you notice something uncomfortable in the process. You've started mentally reviewing every text you send now, every joke, every offhand comment, as if it's already been filed away for a future headline. You didn't used to live like that. You didn't used to have to. Family dinner, different table. Your mother still calls every Sunday. She still asks if you're eating properly. For the 10 minutes you're on the phone with her, none of the rest of it exists. Not the lawsuits, not the security detail, not the strangers with opinions about a version of you they invented from a leaked screenshot. Then she mentions your sister. Nothing dramatic, just an update, the kind mothers give. But you hear something underneath it, a distance that wasn't there before. Your sister used to call you directly. Now she goes through your mother instead. Like there's a wall between you that neither of you built on purpose, but neither of you knows how to take down. You invite the whole family to the new house for a birthday. Everyone comes. It should feel like a celebration. Instead, you watch your sister stand at the far end of a room that's bigger than the house you all grew up in together, talking to your cousins, carefully not looking your way. When you finally get a moment alone with her, the conversation is short and polite in a way that hurts more than an argument would have. She doesn't say it outright. She doesn't have to. You can see it in the careful distance she keeps, the sense that whatever used to make you equals doesn't apply anymore, and neither of you knows what replaces it. The house at night. Late one night, months into all of this, you can't sleep. You walk the halls of the house you built specifically so no one could find you. It's completely silent except for the quiet electronic hum of the security system tracking your movement from room to room, cameras adjusting, sensors logging, a machine quietly confirming that, yes, you are exactly where you're supposed to be, alone, in a house built for dozens of people who don't actually live here. You go outside, stand on the lawn, look up. The sky looks the same as it did before any of this. Same stars, same silence, same indifferent black distance you used to look at from a much smaller balcony. Back when none of this belonged to you and none of this had a cost attached. You stand out there a long time. Then you go back inside, because that's still, somehow, the only place left to go. Closing. The money didn't disappear. If anything, there's more of it now than when you started this story. It never stopped growing the entire time. Quietly, in the background, indifferent to everything happening around it. What changed is quieter than the money, and much harder to price. It's the run you don't take anymore. The friend who agrees with everything. The sister who calls your mother instead of you. The version of yourself from a decade ago now permanently on sale to the highest bidder. Nobody warns you about this part when they tell you what it would be like to have everything. Maybe that's because it isn't really about having everything. It's about what having everything quietly costs you. One ordinary thing at a time, until you look up one night and realize the only thing that hasn't changed is the sky.